Another thing
Hey,
is our quality.
hey, we're live.
Oh,
Just
yes.
'cause-
Oh, whoa,
just
whoa,
'cause
whoa,
of-
whoa.
Oh, it's great.
Hello.
It's great. Hi.
Hey.
So yes, today we have a visitor, which is great, an old friend now. It turns out we've crossed many paths in different conversations, and I'll let you introduce yourself in just a second. But thank you for joining us. And I want to say hi, Ari. Who are you?
Hey. Hello there. I'm Alimi, also, aka Ari. So I used to be an IBMer developer located in the London team, but now I moved to Postman, where I talk about Postman, surprisingly enough, but also just APIs in general, API testing, monitoring, mocking, API specification, and we'll talk about all these today. Maybe we'll see. We'll see where we go.
Perfect. And Mofi, who are you?
I'm Mofi, and that's all there is to it. That's all you need to know, JJ.
That's all I need to know.
All you need to know. Just remember the name, and that's it.
So you're kind of the backup, because from what we discussed before, it looks like you know as much about Postman as I do. So if I have any question, I'll just ask you.
Yes. Yeah. I will. Again, if no one knows, that's great. Then I can say anything, and that's right at that moment.
True.
I feel like yeah. I think Google has a lot of benefits, but a lot of problems too. Because I feel like back in the days, people could just say anything, and people would just agree. Okay, that person looks so confident saying that. I'll just agree. But now everybody's just like in their phone, Google, like, no, you're wrong. I think it's.
You mean everything I can find on the internet is true? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, also you can in Google search. It's really funny, and this is like we're already on an off track start. But in Google search, you can put quotes around words that you actually want to find, and Google will give you answers. Like, for example,
exactly
you could do like climate change, quote unquote, is not real, and you'll get results back that will give you is not part of the results. And our confirmation bias is through the roof now. Like anything you agree, you can just force Google to give you answers back on that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're here to talk about API, not about our political disarray that we're in.
I mean, we can use an API to call like climate change data if we want. We can do anything.
We could, but I think I don't want to start a fight in the chat because let's say we search it and it comes back negative, then it's a problem. I don't think that I would like that result very much.
True. Well, that actually, I've used the Watson APIs mostly when I was at IBM, but also since I've joined Postman. And this is one of the things when you use the like sentiment analysis, right?
Uh-huh.
And you kind of call something, and you expect a specific sentiment to come back, and it comes with something completely different.
Yeah.
So there's always this like small time where you're like, I wonder if I should show that, or yeah.
Yeah. I think another like it might be a little controversial, but the whole situation I see with AI, I have questions regarding is like scaring AI the way we do is truly justified given the state of the AI we are in. Like AI is so good in such specific things, but the AI we are scared of, like movies showed the AI, like AI just wakes up and figures out how life works. But we have AI that fails to compile 18 times a day, right? So like, it's just kind of like there's a huge discrepancy, but there still needs regulation. There still needs to be like caution, but at the same time, like there was a one tweet yesterday I saw, like there was a fly sitting on Mike Pence's head and someone ran TensorFlow and it says dog.
Yep.
Like somebody drew a box. Like
I saw that one.
That's mostly the state of AI these days, right? So anyway, let's I'll dial back a little bit so that we can actually do API stuff.
Yep. But yeah, so to Mofi and what Ari and Mofi were talking about, we're going to be playing with Postman in general today. So the goal, we have a couple goals. We have the grand scheme of everything that we're going to do. We're not too sure how long this is going to be, but we're going to go until basically Ari decides that he's done. That's what it boils down to. We're going to start with some very basic what Postman is, and we'll start from scratch. Then hopefully we can jump into some more advanced things of what we kind of need to see using Postman. And then I'm hoping that Mofi is willing to show off one of our internal projects that we can use Postman against, so we can actually see a practical use case of Postman working in at least what we do. So hopefully the future people watching this, because this will be up on YouTube also, can get some knowledge and be like, hey, this stuff is pretty freaking cool, man. So Ari, you want to take it away?
The pressure's on me now.
Yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. I'll keep your faces in the corner there. That's, which one do I want? That's the one I want. Okay, so actually, you know what? Let's start from the very start, because we said we would do just like the beginning. Okay, so if you really don't know what Postman is about and you were to look for what it is, you can just type in Postman on Google, and this is what would come up. So to give a brief like history of Postman, it started as a side project when our CEO was working at Yahoo, and he needed a tool to test his APIs. So he just created that as a side project and posted it on the Google Chrome App Store at the time. That thing that like the App Store that twice they said, oh, we're going to discontinue it, and then they said, oh, actually we don't, and kept going back and forth on that. So posted it on there. Grew adoption. I think it started on it just posted it on Stack Overflow, and it just grew from there. People started using it, and now it's this like full-on desktop app that you can get on Mac, Windows, Linux, and even on your Chromebook if you have a Chromebook. I have one, and I tried to install it. It worked. And so it's not anymore just that testing app. And I think probably most of our users and anyone watching that stream, I'm guessing, will have the normal use of Postman, which is I create a new request, put an endpoint and call it and see what it replies. But it's actually much more now. So we advertise it as a collaboration platform for API development. So it's no more just testing APIs, but it's also designing, mocking, monitoring APIs, and obviously testing. But testing goes with automated testing. You can include that in your CI/CD pipeline if you want to. So there's plenty to it, and we'll walk through some of it. Maybe not all of it. I guess we'll see. But yeah. So basically, that's how we advertise it. Collaboration platform. And if you want to get started, I just mentioned the different desktop apps. But as of 2 months ago, we released the web Postman. So you can now just click on Postman, and it launches Postman on your browser, which is the Postman experience that you would have on your desktop, but just in your browser. So you can use it without any like agent. So we call an agent something that redirects all your requests, but you'll be hit with all these like calls issues that you would get like anytime you send a request from the front end to a different servers, basically. So now you need to install that little desktop agent, and we're going to come up with a cloud agent, so you don't have to do that anyway. But as of now, you do need to do that. And yeah, so that's Postman. You have collections, and you can send requests. So how, JJ and Mofi, how beginner do you want me to go? Do you want me to walk through like what is Postman, what's on the interface, or do you want me to like skip a step and go straight into sending a request?
I think at this point, if you are like building APIs for a while, I think you know what Postman is. I think like this is right. So I think we can start from like maybe one example of what a regular like example looks like, then jump right into something a little bit more.
So I've created this workspace just for that stream. So it's an empty workspace. Anyone that would start with that. Basically, there's two main concepts in Postman. There's collections. So collections are like a bunch of requests organized by folder, etc., that you can send and see what comes back. You can add tests, etc. And the new one is API. So APIs, for anyone familiar with that, what you would put in here is an API specification. So OpenAPI, RAML, GraphQL. So you can put it here and then generate different stuff from that, including collection. I'll start with collections because that's what most people use. So you would create a new collection, and I'll call it Twitch with IBM. I could give a description, but don't think it's needed. I create a simple GET request. And that's what everyone that uses Postman is very familiar with. You've got your URL that you paste here, and you send a request. We have this kind of, we call it the Echo API. It's one that whatever you send to it is going to send it back. So if I get that request and just say, I'll send you the date, and the date is, wait, let me go the American format. So it would be 10/09/2020. So if I send this, it comes back, and you can see that the parameters that I've put coming back. I can send different type of requests. So if I change that to a post, and so remove this, but add a body. So I'll just add a JSON thing, which is going to be same date. It's going to be, we said 10/09/2020. If I send this, same thing, you can see it adds in data here, but it's adding data because it's post. So this API that I'm showing right now is just an easy one if you just want to try how Postman works and make sure that whatever you send, it comes back. So that's the basic one, and I'm guessing you both were already aware of that, right? The URL. Okay, so if we add another layer to that, and I'll go back to my get request with a parameter. Oop. Let me disable that. Cool. So one thing you can do, you have params, which are the simple params, but you may want to have dynamic parameters. So one way to do that is you can actually change that value as on every request send. So just click on that. Let me do that. So the way to do that is to use pre-request scripts. So how do you want to do that? You want this to be a variable. So let's just say we set it as a variable and say that variable is going to be current date. And I'll say it's going to be at the collection level. So you have different scopes for variables, just as you would have in programming, right? You have your class, then you have your private, and then you have your public ones, different levels. I don't know if that translates to all languages, but it at least translates to one. So now I have this variable, which is current date. And what I can do is go here and say pm.set.variables.set. And here I'll get my current date, and I'll set it to a new date. So that's the date object. So this allows you to write JavaScript, right? It's a Node.js sandbox. You have predefined libraries that you can use, and you can add more if you'd like. So now when I'm doing that, basically every time I'm sending the request, it's going to execute that script and set the current date value to a new date. So hopefully, if I've not done anything wrong, every time you send something, it updates.
Excellent.
Which is excellent. Which is pretty handy when you don't want to have to go back and edit your request every time you send something. So you can do that. What you can also use is we have a list of dynamic variables. So if you're not familiar with them, we're using. I thought it would show. We're using the Faker library, which is just a bunch of. That's not the one. That's the one. A bunch of different variables that you can use and put in there. So for example, we have this random BS, which is a random phrase of business speak.
Whoever got away with that name is a genius.
And if you put that in here directly, I think, and send it, so it always comes back with a random BS. So
okay, all right, keep sending until we get synergy.
That wouldn't take long. Seamless paradigms, very good.
Well, we got strategize. I think I can live with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got paradigm, strategize. I think that together counts as synergy at this point.
But yeah, so that's a pretty cool one also to use. Just if you want to test one of your services that requires to send user data, like a name, first name, last name, address. You have them. I'll just search for them. So yeah, random first name, random last name, and you can just add these as you go instead of editing every time and putting a new name. So you don't have your database that is just filled with Patrick.
Test 1, test
something.
2, test 3.
Test 1, test 2, whatever. So yeah, that's already two things: pre-request scripts and test scripts, and dynamic variables. But now you may be wondering, or not, I don't know, that what is this testing? So pre-request scripts, they execute before, and that's cool and all, but what you may want to do is actually test what comes back from the API, which is like what most people do in Postman. They'll send some data, but what I want to make sure is that their backend works as expected. So one way to do it is just I'm sending my request and I check that, oh, my thing is coming back with the right data. Cool.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, that's what I do. Like I just
yeah,
look at the response.
like,
I'm like, yep, the response looks like the right response.
That's what you would do, right? But let's say you have to do that for 200 endpoints. Are you going to send them all one by one and then like check? Or would you like to automate that? Well, if you want to automate that, this thing, right? Actually, let's go back to post and do. I'll send a specific body. We'll do name. It's going to take me a while because I'm not on the right keyboard. Name is going to be IBM stream, and then we'll have streamers, which is going to be an array. Then who's going to be in there? It's going to be. Are we going to? Yeah, let's just do Murphy, JJ.
I think they have to be all strings.
Oh yeah, good point.
JSON.
Okay. So actually, I can highlight in JSON and they'll probably complain. So let's just check that this is sent correctly. Okay, cool. So I've got my data back. And now I want to check that if the name of the stream is that, for example. So what I can do in test. So there's snippets here. So I'm just going to cheat and use one of these so I don't have to like do it all myself. Let's do JSON value check. So it creates a test. For anyone familiar with chai.js, it's a JavaScript library.
Damn, that's awesome.
That you can use.
Yeah.
So I'm creating an object here, which is basically the response. So pm.response. PM is actually, there's stuff that I don't mention that I should mention. PM is the Postman API, and it has a bunch of functions that you can use, including.
Is it the same Node library if you could use to do PM in your Node application?
Is there a PM in your Node application?
Because like there is a Postman SDK for JavaScript that you could use.
Oh yeah. That's the one.
Okay.
So and now we're writing. So it's chai.js. You write an expect. So you expect JSON data.value to equal 100. For example, here we're gonna go in and we go JSON data. Actually, we can do actual debugging, and we just go. What's my, if I could type again, what's my response? We put JSON data. So when you send this, just like you would do in your browser, you actually have a console here and you can see what's happening. So my data is all of this. So I want to go JSON data.data.name. Close that. So JSON data. Let's do JSON data.
.name.
Yeah, I need to put it here actually. Oh no, yeah, data.name to equal. We want it to be
IBM stream. I think.
Stream. Yep.
Let's look at this cases. Oh, it's the same one. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So if I send this now, there's a test result tab here, and it says passed.
Nice.
So I can see that it's always equal to that. And it doesn't really look like that fancy for just one because it's just the same, right? Like you send your request and you have to look at the result. But if you were to have like a bunch of these, and I'll show you, and I'll just duplicate the same one a bunch of times. What I can do now, let's say I have 5 of them. Instead of sending them one by one and checking them one by one, I can go here and run the whole collection. I can save the responses, and now I can see all of my tests that I've passed.
That's really cool.
Instead of, again, cool. Checking them one by one. So there's different tests that you can write. You can check for values. You can check for status code. Again, I'm cheating because I don't want to write them all. Response time. This one may fail a couple of times. So if I send it, for example, okay, it doesn't. Let's just change it to Status code is 400. And send that. So now it fails. It tells me it was expected to have 400, but you got 200. So yeah, that's the tests. There's plenty of use cases for that. I'm really showing the overall thing that you would do, kind of.
So question.
Yeah.
So obviously, as we start building things up and building up tests to test our APIs, is there a way programmatically I can export this out and put it in like GitHub so my team can work on it? Or is it all just attached to my name in my own workspace? Like, how would I share this with my coworkers?
So there's different ways to do that. Obviously, us as Postman will promote the collaboration within Postman. So I'm in a team workspace currently. I'll move to another one actually. Let's move to Twitch. So this one you can see it's shared with 2 other of my colleagues. 3 of them actually. 2 of them are not active. 1 of them is currently in that workspace. And you would just have everyone working in there. And just like you have on GitHub, for example, if I want to work on that one without bothering my colleagues, I can create a fork. And I'll say that's Arlemi's fork. And I have my own collection that I can work on. Should be here. If I can find it. Yeah, so this one, which is my fork, I can work on it, do some changes, and then create a pull request or merge changes directly if I have the rights. Nice. So that's the version control directly in Postman. But obviously, we don't want to have you locked here either. Like if you want to work outside, so there's again 2 options. If you want the actual integration with GitHub, then you would need to be on one of the paid plan, and then you have the GitHub backup included. If not, you can just export like that. You export it, you have a file, and you just put that in wherever you want, and then you re-import it. Or you use the Postman API, which is documented here. And
it's a little bit meta there, my friend. A little bit meta.
yeah, no. Every time I talk Postman API, so because obviously I'm saying this is the Postman API, then I'm saying this is the Postman API, and obviously, so searching for that Postman API is actually hard. That's why I know the URL, because if you go on Google and type Postman API, you just get all our marketing stuff before that anyway, because they have better SEO. But yeah, one way to do that, you can just use one of these requests. Let's say you're again you have a bash script that runs and you want to have the up-to-date collection every time. You can run that, and it's just going to grab your single collection, and you always
nice.
the latest version on your computer basically whenever you work on it. And you can then, once you're done working with it, you can update from the API as well. So you don't have to use Postman as the UI. It is there and it's easy to use, but if you'd rather work in VS Code or anything, you can either use that. We have a Postman CLI you can use as well to work in your favorite IDE. There's plenty of options. But the best one is collaboration in Postman.
Oh, of course. Why? Yeah, of course.
Okay, I'm already getting lost in what I've shown and what I've not shown. So I've shown.
So we have so far done the params, dynamic params, pre-request script, and tests.
Okay, that's on the collection side, and I've showed the collection runner as well. So how to run a whole collection.
Yeah.
Let me see. I can show this, the visualize, which is not known by a lot of people. It's pretty new as well. Actually, but that's getting into the kind of out of the way things. You wouldn't use that usually. So do you want me to stick to the track of the?
I mean, I have seen the visualize tab before. I never knew what that did, so might as well while we have it on the screen.
Let's import. Actually, let's do new templates. I just need to remember how they're called. I think it's visualizer. Let's do. So if I take a simple one, this one just sends a table of random full name. So now you're familiar with these things, right? It just generates random stuff. So what Visualizer do allows you to use some HTML, CSS, and any JavaScript library to show that displayed in a certain way. So that's a very simple example of it. I think this one is maybe a bit more advanced.
Oh, wow.
So you can do that.
So is it visualizing based on the response coming back, or it visualize just understands data like this should be bar chart?
So you wish it would do that automatically, but no, there's actually, you need to write some stuff. So for example, this one, you have this pm.visualizer that sets your template, and then you have your template. So that's what I meant, right? Like you can use
right.
This one uses Chart.js.
It's nice because you're basically hacking the system because test runs after the response comes back.
So you can do anything. Some of I don't know if I can find them, but some people have created like maps that are like that you can move around. And let me see. Heatmap DIY.
Heatmap, I saw Heatmap.
I think so. Heatmap, I think is just a bit like.
I got but I saw
Subway map. There
Subway
you
map.
go.
Subway map. Let's use. I've never seen this one. Oh, Kinlane. Okay, so that should be. Okay, Subway map. I have no clue how that's gonna look. That's not what it should be.
That doesn't look like Subway map.
Yep. It looks like a subnet map maybe, but yeah, that's not what we want. I think this one has fancy ones. So see already it's getting, so one little trick. If your workspace is getting full of stuff, you can click the star and your thing is always going to stay at the top.
Oh, nice.
That's just a little one for you. Let's do UFO sightings. So it's a Heroku app. It takes a while to wake up, just like any Heroku app. But should come soon, hopefully. So I think this map takes like all the. Okay. I wish I could put that bigger, but I can't. But yeah, so basically you have this map. You can zoom in different areas. If I could try my mouse, and you can see the data directly on the map. But again, like this is, we've written code for that. Postman is not doing the work for you. It allows you to have a nice way to like see data directly in Postman. Right. But it's more for the provider. Let's say you're like API provider and your API provides data. You may want to share a collection with people that includes this code, so that people don't have to export it somewhere else. But as a consumer, you'd often just like go in here and look for the actual data rather than.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool thing, but I'm just trying to think of like a really good use case for who. For example, I think if you are D3, like the API, you want to showcase how can you use D3 on with your API data coming back. That could be a really good example for them to create. But if you are the person that's creating the data, it's harder to think.
I can actually show you one. I'm just gonna switch screens for a while because there's stuff I can't show. But if you give me 1 sec, I'll find something I can show. Okay. So someone actually did it with for the US elections, and we demoed that yesterday. So one of your, actually I can't find it, never mind. There's an API provider in the US that provides a lot of data for US election data, and their main use case is displaying data. So they've made that collection available for people, and you can just see directly the display of like the charts and graphs of or like the locations of
basic simple question here. Where do I find APIs to play with? Like, what's the best way to do it?
Okay, so let me go back to that one. Where do you find APIs? That's a very good question. So we have.
You write it.
Places. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You do. Where do I find APIs?
Nice.
And you just find like a bunch of, and that's actually like that's the main place where you can find API. In the Postman context, we have a thing called the API network. So basically, it's a repository of companies and
Oh, wow.
individuals who have posted different APIs. So if we look at, so I know IBM is not there actually, but I
Oh,
think
boy.
someone
I think we need to
created,
fix that one, Mofi.
Yeah.
I think someone created a template. So template is for example, so I may have created that one. I can't remember. So there's differences. The APIs are created stuff, and we do review them. Like the Postman team reviews what goes in there, so we know it's working.
There's only
Template
two
is
Twitter API. Twitter probably have like 1,000 API. I don't know why there's only two.
so it's the whole API.
oh, okay.
V2.
It's the collection. Okay, cool. I'm not.
Yeah, so I'll actually show you with Twitter. I can click run in Postman. Let's say Postman for the web, and I'll say in this one. So it should take a little while. Well,
Thinking
what
about
it, what it imports, I'll just talk about the difference between the two here. So these ones are created ones, and we work with these companies to make it available. These ones are community contributions, and we don't actually look at them. We look at them as in we can put some features, etc., but we don't validate them. So some of them won't work. Some of them will be like just unfinished business. For example, so when I look for IBM, I know this one looks finished. This one's I'm not too sure. This one has never been used, so I don't know what to expect from it. But yeah, these are like community things. I'm guessing this one is. Do you know that person?
No idea.
No.
I mean, we can look at the documentation, but I'm guessing it's okay.
I think
So-
that's their application. So they created
Yeah, that's not the actual.
they created Twitter thing with IBM
So that
sentiment
so that's-
analysis.
Yeah, that's what I meant, right? Like with the templates, you never actually know
Yeah.
if it's going to be the actual thing or not. So has this been finished? Yeah. Okay. So Twitter, I was talking about, it's their whole API v2, right? So it's all the endpoints will be available here. So it doesn't look that much because their v2 has been released a month ago, and it's not like in parity with v1, but this is growing like week by week, I'm guessing. And this is all built up. Kind of like all you have to do is it should have imported. So it imports an environment as well. Then all you have to do is replace these variables in here, and
Nice.
it should work with your account, and you can just try it out here.
So you said that this collection is growing. Is there a way to update this collection? Is like a right click, like pull new version or something like that?
That's a good question. We don't allow that for now, but so that's something we're working on. We're working on a thing called public workspaces. So instead of just having a collection in the wild like this, you'll have basically one of these that anyone can access, and that is always up to date. And people can fork the collection, and they'll be able to do a pull anytime to get the latest version.
So in this situation, so you just got the Twitter API v2. Then let's say a week later they add more things. What is the way to do that now?
Re-import it probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Just go back and re-import. You could, I mean, yeah, you could like download the JSON kind of, how would I say, like merge it with that. But the easiest one is literally just re-import.
Okay.
Let me just
Nice.
see. Cool. So yeah, that's pre-request test. I've not talked about authorization. I'm guessing pretty much everyone should be familiar with like I mean, not all of the type of authorization, but whenever you use an API, you need to provide like sometimes credentials, different type of auth. So all of them are kind of built in here. You don't have to go to the headers and change stuff. Like let's say you want to do auth, you put your different values here, and it's going to open them at the right place for you. So it makes it easier. You can also define them. Like let's say I want to define them at the collection level. I can say, okay, so this is already done. So I'm defining it once here, and then all of my calls will just say inherit from parent. So I only have to do it once, and then and anytime I change it, if I change my credentials, I change them once. It updates everywhere. Okay, so there's a few other features. Let's say, so that's the one I changed earlier. You have a change log here that you can use. It's here actually. And I can see everything that's been happening. I can restore previous versions. You have the diff. So I think the diff the exact diff like that is a paid feature. Some of them I need to check, but yeah. So you have some feature like that help. And the other thing I can show. So we've looked at the documentation for the Twitter one, for example. So if I wanted to share that externally and like show how other people can use my API, I can click View in Web or go in the options and go Publish Docs. It's the same link anyway. But what this does, it creates a web documentation of my API with the. If I had put a description, it would show here. It shows the example body. If I'd added an example response, it would show here. And can I? Okay, I can do it. I can actually have like code samples for all of these. So this is defaulted by curl, but I can say, so wait, you're doing, what's your favorite languages? Actually? Go. There you go. You want to call your APIs in Go. You don't even have to write the code yourself. You just create it on Postman and copy paste that. And that does the exact same code that you had in Postman.
I think you just made Mofi really happy.
To be fair, I knew this feature before. I had one question or a request for the Postman developer team if they can make this happen. So is there any way to export a collection as a client library? Because you already have all the pieces. It just doesn't do as one thing yet.
So you basically want all the calls to be packaged in one thing?
Yeah, for the entire collection, yeah.
Okay, so I think there's two things that are coming at some point. So we've had that request before. So there's the collection level export for like code generation, but there's also the SDK generation.
Right.
So the server stub side.
Okay, yeah, that would be really nice. I think.
Yeah, that's the two sides to it, and we kind of close the loop, right? Because like obviously this is the client side, this is the code that you would make, but if we're able to generate like where you would make that code, then we kind of close the whole loop, which would be nice. I can't give any date. I just know this is something we've been like looking at, and we've started to work on it. But
okay, well,
so it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, cool. And I basically, because I will show you why this would be really nice for me in a second.
Okay.
Once we come back again, and I'll share like kind of things I have been working on with Postman to show you a little bit.
So let me. I mean, if you want, we can switch to yours, and then we can come back to here, and I can show the API side of things.
Sure. Yeah. Let's quickly do that then.
Yeah. Okay. Let me stop sharing.
So. And
this is great, by the way. Ari, no joke. Like this is phenomenal. Thank you for this. I've learned a ton already. Like this is great.
All right. So if you can see my screen right now, so I am not using the web version of Postman mainly because I didn't know it existed.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I am using the Postman, the thing. And it's when you mentioned the Postman has the web thing, which was really funny because Postman started as like a Chrome extension which ran on the web. Then it became a desktop app. It's going back to the web again. So
exactly.
Full circle. We're circle of life we're seeing. So I have a few collections here, and the one
that's a lot of requests.
That's quite a bit of request, yes. So that's the one I was hoping to be able to generate a client library for, because it has 529 requests, and it got generated from an open API. So I basically had an open API Swagger definition of those APIs, and I dropped all of them into Postman. Postman made all this for me, which is beautiful. And now I have, so if you're not familiar, the word AWX, it's AWX is the open source version of Ansible Tower. Ansible Tower is a runner for Ansible that can do some configuration stuff. And we're using that to do an internal project where we want to spin up a bunch of Kubernetes cluster, do a bunch of things with those cluster, post provision, check the health of the cluster, a bunch of different things. So we're using AWS for that kind of things. And we can do things like, and the things you're mentioning, Ari, for example, where's the
runner?
No, not runner. I wanted to get to the authentication, I think.
Oh, so yeah, go edit at your
Yeah, got it. Yeah, there's the one. So I have to get to that token
Yep.
now. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. I'll do that.
It's too
But
late now.
yeah, it's fine. So I think so AWS has just Vera token. You do that. So I have that set for the top level, and everything underneath now just works with that token, which is great.
Yeah.
And so we have things like, I don't know, let me find one. Workflow job, list workflow jobs. And I don't want to send anything. If I just send this request, invalid page because we have these things that we don't want to actually send. We're asking for something that is wrong. Okay, let's send this. Wow. Okay, here you go. We have now 148 total workflow jobs that ran. And I think we're going to have multiple pages because that's how the API works. Postman had to do nothing with it. Yeah, so it's great for quickly showing that the API works. And this is kind of like my first view into dealing with API that I didn't write, because usually oftentimes I'm dealing with APIs that I wrote and I'm trying to, well, this one doesn't have anything, but usually I'm building an application that I'm testing that application does what it needs to. I did some other tests for some of the IBM Cloud APIs that we have. For example, if you want to get all the Kubernetes zones, this is a public API, so I don't have to deal with API key and whatnot. But yeah, you could see all the Kubernetes zones we have. Did we add more? I don't know, probably. So
you
yeah,
could make a visualizer map for that.
oh yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna just steal the map from the Heroku web there.
I mean,
Just need to go find it. I think I just need to make sure the data goes to that in a certain format because the map is already there.
yeah.
I can put more load onto that application. Okay. No, actually, the application is the one that gives back the data, right? The map is the HTML code put into the
Yep,
test. Oh, okay. Then it's even easier. Excellent. We'll do it. Yeah. So for me, Postman, I totally learned two awesome new tabs that I'm gonna completely abuse from now on, and it's been great. And it's for testing real quick. Wasn't familiar too much with environment stuff. I learned.
Yeah, I can talk more about these as well later.
Yeah, we'll come back when we come back. So for me, the feature I was talking about, being able to export this as a client library, would be a godsend. Then I can basically create a client for AWS like literally one click. There is this tool in the internet somewhere. They claim to be able to do that, but that actually doesn't work. They claim to use Postman because you could.
There's definitely tools out there that generate from a Postman collection. Whether they work well or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I tried one. It didn't seem to do the right things. So I was like, you know what, it's okay. Because first of all, I don't need all the APIs to be implemented for my client that I'm working on, because I don't have to re-implement entire WX. But I basically implemented like 6 or 7 of this API in code myself, and it just works, which is great. Another thing for me, the other thing that you mentioned, but I also had used it before, which was pretty sweet, is this. When you like make your API available for other people to look at as a documentation. It's a pretty beefy API with 500 something requests. So it takes a second for it to load. But once it loads, you have like a API documentation that I can share with other people easily for them to look at how the API is supposed to work. For example, if I have multiple people working on this API, or someone who just wants to see if the data is looking right? So they can look at the documentation, which is pretty awesome.
I think our documentation team is working on pagination for this kind of long APIs.
So you can,
that's a heavy page.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah, I didn't realize.
That put some load on my machine. Yeah,
I just looked bottom right, like the little scroll bar thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like literally, Chrome is not able to render all of that in the same page at any given time. It's gonna take a second for it to do it. But again, most people's APIs, I doubt, reaches this level of depth. AWX is a huge open source project with like hundreds of people working on it, and oh my God, my page was like, you know what? I'm not gonna show you the top. I'm gonna just show you the bottom again because I can. Okay, now it's okay. It loaded up mostly, so you can see things like same thing I was showing on the Postman UI. You can also show it as a document, which is extremely useful, right? Like when you are workflow jobs, list. Okay, I'm in the workflow jobs. Yeah, so if you are trying to open this big of an request, I'm not gonna say you're gonna get the best speed in terms of looking at it. For those kind of things, like Postman here is like extraordinary, right? Like for that kind of thing. But if you're, this is still gonna do it, hopefully, maybe. Clicked it. It's gonna take a second.
Yeah.
Here it is. And you can see how to do it. And you can also change language, I think, somewhere.
At the
Probably.
very top, you would need to go all the way back up.
You know what? I am not gonna do that. I'm gonna say we know that exists at the
Yeah,
top.
we showed it before. It's all good.
We showed it before. Like go back 20 minutes into the stream and
there you go.
oh geez, does it have to make
yeah,
requests
that's
for
going
all of-
to yeah.
they have to convert all of them into go. Oh my god! I just killed my browser.
You're just looking for troubles now.
Okay, so I'm gonna click here again. Anyway, so that was basically how I'm using Postman. It's very rudimentary the way I use it, but after today, I'm gonna be like, just like doing all sorts of crazy things in Postman.
Well, you mentioned one thing that I didn't mention, and that's the thing that I wanted to come back to. It's the Open API thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think anyone kind of uses. I mean, we have people using that. We see that more on the customer enterprise side rather than the community side. We see a push for it, and like you kind of approve that like, people are getting to there as well. But so you actually have it imported as an API, and then you generated that collection from it, right?
Yeah. So I don't remember how I did it, but like, it's been a while. But you basically give it some description and click. Oh, I have to give it a name. So test, and then I think you do something around import.
Go to the API tab.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's where you do it. Here it is.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Here it is. You did that via that. Okay. Yeah. You're right. I mean, yeah. So here you go. You can just select what kind of I think I had OpenAPI 2.0, and you just do it, and it just pulls everything, makes your API, which is glorious.
Yep. So we can talk more about this feature if you want.
Yeah. So once you like, I think you want to take over. If you want to take over share now, that was pretty much kind of a real life use case for us, trying to connect the two pieces together. Yeah.
Do you have so I'm happy to take over. Do you have an open API that you want me to work with? If not, I can just grab like any. I know Watson has them like publicly available, so we can work with one of these.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Any of them.
Okay. Let's see.
Anything is fine.
Actually, yeah. Let's see. We were talking before the stream about the Kubernetes one.
Yeah. So
actually, you have
the Kubernetes API. Actually, let me give you the other link, because we have like a public-facing Swagger API for Kubernetes that you can make use of.
Yeah. So I think can't you find it through the docs anymore?
You can get to the UI looks like the IBM UI on the docs, but we have another just like a Swagger deployed somewhere.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, let me find that, because that I find, I mean, it's fine on our docs as well, but I have been using that for a while, so I got used to that more. I just got used to it at this point. Okay, I'll just send it on chat here, and you can pick that up from Zoom.
Chat. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right, so I should have a link somewhere here, right?
Link for what?
For the actual JSON file.
Oh, should, yes, but I don't.
This not this one. Oh, it's here, I think. Yeah, there we go. Cool. All right, so we can work with that. So that's the Swagger. That's also a long one, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, this is a pretty big API. And honestly, at the time, now I feel so stupid, because I was manually creating these APIs on Postman. I have like 20. I could have just done this.
Yep. So let's go ahead. So that's the tab I didn't mention before. We actually do import from a link. So I'll just paste the link from that and you can choose to import it
I'm so mad right now. It's not.
as an API. It recognizes that it's a Swagger, and I can directly generate a collection from it, and I'll just say it's a test suite. So you have some like different things based on like which type of folder organization you want to do. If you want to generate parameter based on the example of the schema, etc. So I'll just leave it to default for now. So that's going to do some work. It's quite a big Swagger, so I'm wondering how my Chrome is going to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I kind of feel like when you're doing things in the browser itself limits a lot of the performance for it too.
So Postman is Electron based anyway.
Right.
So
right. But the thing is, when you use Electron-based Postman running, it can create its own helper.
Yeah.
Agents, but when it's in the browser, you have to rely on the Chrome's helper agents.
Yep.
And if Chrome decides to give you the space, you're good. Otherwise, you're dealing with but it did create it, so which is good.
Yep. So
Let's
I've got
create
this
a collection out here.
So it already has one because I ticked creating a collection from it. So I have this one here. It's already
still 209. It's still not AWX level. AWX is 529.
So let's see what we have here. So we have this overview page tells me, if you see my mouse moving like this, it's just because I'm moving your faces around. So that's why. So a schema type format, I can generate a collection from here and I can see which API elements, as we call them, we have here. So define is my
the
schema.
Original file that we put in, right?
And actually you can see that there's an inline validation, line 7,000. Do I want to scroll all the way down there?
You passed 7,000.
Yeah, that was fast. 7,430 something, right?
Yeah, 7,430. Yep, that's what it was.
Yeah, so it says it's complaining that schema contains an invalid property type.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, schema doesn't need type. You can get rid of it. You can just get rid of that whole line.
See, that validates. Cool. So now you can tell the team in charge of the Kubernetes Swagger.
Because the type of the schema would be coming from the schema reference.
Yep. So that's fixed. We've just updated schema. So that's actually, it will allow me to demo something. I've updated the schema, right? But I've generated a collection from it. And that collection I've generated it before. So now I want to update the collection without having to regenerate one. What I can do is just update the collection or not actually. Let's see. We only do that with OpenAPI 3.0. This is sad.
We can convert 2 to 3. There's the OpenAPI Swagger can convert 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Not gonna...
No, not this. So if you take
I was just taking in here. You mean? Oh yeah.
So, like you have to copy the entire string, and if you go to OpenAPI Swagger something.
OpenAPI 2 to OpenAPI 3.
Yeah, I can make that.
That should give me a result.
So if you just if you just look for Swagger UI, just look for.
Wait, I'm just going to try paste Swagger 2.0.
Yeah, just
okay.
like look for Swagger UI. Not like just Swagger UI.
Convert.
The Swagger UI, it's by default has it.
Okay.
So if you just find Swagger UI and that's the one, I think, whenever that loads. And if you have to go to, I think if you go to live demo, they change some of these things. Yeah. And wait, that's not it. The file. Hold on.
Because that's just the documentation.
Is it Swagger Hub? It is not.
Swagger Hub is the company behind it. Are you talking about API Matic that does that as well?
No, it was made by Smart Bear. Oh my God, I feel like I'm losing my mind right now. It was here. Oh, is it Swagger UI editor? Yeah, editor.swagger.io. That's the one.
Editor.swagger.io. Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can just
paste here.
Paste everything there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Then you can click on drop down on file or something, and then can change it. It's gonna take a second though. What did it say? Structural error. Line 5. Oh, 5027. Huh.
Is this the same one?
How many times does it have that? And then somewhere here it could download it.
Let me see.
Not
Change
that. It can
server.
convert. Here it is.
33.
I'm not
Nice.
completely crazy.
Convert. Nice. Okay, so did it convert in the same one? Can I just copy out of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to here, replace all and change to YAML. Nice. I think it did validate. Nice, cool. All right. You make some space.
And now you can do the validate of your API again, right?
Yep. So I wonder how that's going to work because the collection was generated from the V2. So it's probably going to complain a lot, but it should still work. Let's see. So what this does basically compares, it generates a new JSON, collection JSON of this, compares to that and see what needs to be updated. So it gives you a web view of what's been changed, and you can handpick what you want to be updated. So because we've basically updated the whole thing now, it's going to be quite a long thing. So on the left, you've got the list of issues. It says the headers are not matching the schema, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have a detail. So for example, this one says, we've added that wasn't there. We've updated this with that. So I think it's just what has changed. I think it's just the indentation from the, but yeah, so it's all that. And you can just select all and apply. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, confirm.
And then your laptop catches fire.
That's my, as I said before, that's my gaming gaming rage.
Then it should definitely shouldn't catch fire.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. Let me go back there in the meantime. Oh.
I'd like to say there's a ton of things here that I've never touched before, so I'm excited to kind of play with this. I really am.
Yeah, that's one of the things, right? Like that's what most Postman users we do. Like I'm very surprised that Mofi already had experience with the generating, etc. That's something that we're getting to, and that's the API first movement that like people start talking about, which is when you work on anything, you don't start with like coding and then talking about which information your front end wants from your backend, etc. You define your API and what's going to be exchanged from one to the other, and based on that, you then like create your front end and your backend. And the API first starts with an API specification, basically. Okay, so I think it's too big, probably. It didn't work.
Yeah, let's just import the new, like the Open APIs 3, just import that instead of trying to change
Yeah, I'll
it.
do that. Oh, you mean import as a...
Like just if you just copy this and new API, paste that in there. I think that would be...
New API. We call it test Kubernetes 7. Hello. Cool. 1.00 Open API YAML, and replace all of this.
Yeah, I think that's...
And now I can generate a collection. I'll say it's test Kubernetes generate.
I'm going to be over here eating just because I haven't had my food, but I'm watching. But
Cool.
I'm going to be on mute.
Are you not doing ASMR eating thing on that stream? We've always talked about doing that with Joyce, my colleague, just like doing an hour-long stream where it's just us eating sandwiches and waiting for people to come in.
I mean, I think we were talking about it right before the stream started, but we should definitely do a stream on board games.
Yeah, that would be, yep.
Yeah, we should get a few of us together. I have so many board games I want to try, but the problem is, like as I was saying, I'm the friend in my group with the board games. And every time I have to try something new, that means I'm going to explain this board game to like 6 new people, and it's terrible.
Yeah, the explanation part is the same. Like, so we were talking before, and I have my own friend which has all the board games, and there's different ways where you can explain games. Where you can go in details, and that's what
Right.
he does. He goes through every single step of the rules. Whereas, like, if I explain the game, I'll just say, let's do one for fun and see how that works, right? And that's how you learn.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he wants everyone to have all the info, like, so it's always a bit long.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the difficulty of explaining things, right? So you want to explain to the point where they feel not handicapped playing the game. At the same time, you want to explain so that they don't feel bored while you're explaining things. It's just like this tug of war you are doing between. Oh, it's the same, Eric.
So yeah, so actually it does the same, because when I generated the collection, when I selected the examples, I said examples from the examples and not from schema. So that's what all these changes are basically. So I'm pretty sure it's just gonna.
Also, somehow it got French in there. I don't know how.
Does it?
Yeah, like look at this.
That's Latin.
Oh, okay. It looked well. Anything not English, and with too many U and I.
That's where I miss them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It looked okay.
Yeah.
I saw the Q. I know. In French, like how you say it is what it is. I know that sentence, and it looked like that. Like authorization. It is what it is. Like it just.
Back on the import thing you did too. I noticed it said github.ibm.com on some of the links, which is our internal GHE.
True.
Why are we publishing that? That seems like a really bad idea.
Some more feedback for the. Let me just check one thing, because I know I had this funny one when I was going to the catalog. Okay, so I think they fixed it, but like last time I used IBM on stream, my catalog was half in Korean, I think, and half in English for some reason. So I think it's because of the order of languages that I have on my browser. Like there's a weird order, and it doesn't always match the first one for some components and then matches another one for others. But yeah, it was a bit weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so this didn't work, the old update, just because I think the collection is too big and we have a 10 megabytes limit for updates.
I see.
So I'm guessing that's why. That's fine. We don't have to show. I can show it on a smaller one later. There's other things that I do want to show. So we just generated a test collection. That's fine. We can generate a monitor.
Okay.
And actually for that, let me create a smaller collection probably. I'm just wondering, do you think, so that collection, right, that we just generated, I would need to input my APIs, etc., for it to do anything, right?
Not API. You'll need actually do access token and stuff.
Okay, so let's get one that I can actually like send requests to.
Okay.
So let's do Swagger Pet Store example.
Classic.
That's the one we want. Yep. Oh, is this the advanced or is it the? I think that's the basic one. Okay, so new API, Pet Store, create, close.
Oh, this already.
It's already there as default. Nice. Cool. So nice. I've got my Pet Store here. I'll go again, generate a collection, test, Pet Store. And this time, let's do response parameter generation from schema, just to make sure. Cool. So I have my tests. So this is basically a test collection that I can just. Okay, so why it complains is because our thing will actually generate the randoms for you. So the first time you run it, it replaces the type by the actual number so that you can actually send your request. So I'll forward that to the collection. Cool. Collection has been updated. Go to the build view. And now if I go to my Pet Store, I can see that if I go to the request, I have the actual numbers in here. That's nice. But now let's create a monitor. So monitor.
I think you're in the wrong API though.
Oh yeah, good point. Monitor, I think we talked about it at the very beginning. Basically, if you have an API that runs in production, you have these services like, I think, is it status.io that just tells you when something is down or something like that? There's a few of them. So you may want to try your API yourself with like specific data that you want to send, and it always should like respond with something. So you can create a monitor from that collection, from that API, and I just call it pet store monitor.
I think this one is creating collection and monitor.
So yeah, basically a monitor, what it does, it runs a collection every once in a while.
I see.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to generate that monitor, and then in that collection, I'm going to make some specific changes that I want to test with that monitor.
Okay.
So what I'm going to say, it's my pet store monitor, and I'll say it runs every 5 minutes. I can set a region if I want to. I can receive emails if it fails. I can do request delay. So if it fails for, what is this one again? If you want to kind of simulate that you're in a place where you only have 3G, for example, you can say, I want to send my request all like 200 or maybe like 300 milliseconds. If you want to set a timeout, that's good as well. So I'll create that monitor. And now what this does is just going to run every 5 minutes, and I can find it.
Now, is the monitor running against some like cloud environment, or is it running in your local machine?
It's on AWS. All of Postman is on AWS. So it's running there, and we have everything hosted there.
Okay. No, because like, let's say I set a monitor, then I can turn off my computer because it's doing monitor stuff.
No. Yeah, you can definitely turn it on, turn it off. So now I have my monitor, and I can click on it. It goes to my monitor view. So it hasn't run yet because it's every 5 minutes. I can run it once to see what happens. So it's going to do the thing. It's going to run like through all the requests. And once it's run, it's going to come back and tell me if it succeeded or if it failed.
But the problem is right now, like the pet store, right? Isn't that like almost like a local API that runs?
So pet store, let's actually check. I'll keep coming back here and switching workspace. We've not replaced the base URL, so basically it's going to fail because I don't have anything running on localhost.
Right.
Yeah. So if I were to replace that with an actual version of pet store,
right,
it would resolve. But yeah, so you can see it says 3 errors, and I can look at the console logs, and it says could not find localhost because it's not running. So this would typically send me, if I ticked send me an email, this would send me an alert. If you're, again, I think that's one of the pricing feature. If you're in a team setting, you can select an order of people that it should send to. So it sends to the first one. If it's not acknowledged, it sends to the second one. You can do different type of alerts like that. But yeah, this one is going to keep running. It's probably going to send me emails anyway, and I'm just going to flood my inbox. But yeah, that's the monitors. You can say if you want to use it as a webhook. So if you want to trigger that monitor from somewhere else, you can do that. You can only show the type of results and change the regions. So that's one. The other thing we mentioned, I think, is the mocking of APIs. So that's actually a good thing, right? Because here it's not running because it's on I should have something that runs locally. So what we can do, we can actually mock the server. So I can still try it out on Postman. So the way to do that, I can actually reuse the same one. I'll use the test one. So this one. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go here and say create a mock server on that collection. So that's going to be pet store mock. So one use case for this, right, is, for example, you have your front-end team and your back-end team, which are not at the same place. You've got your OpenAPI defined, and then both teams are going to work in parallel. The front-end team can just mock the whole API and work out of that to see which data would come back. And they can keep progressing, not waiting on the back-end team, for example. So I'm generating...
That's amazing.
I clicked on something. My bad. Let me go back here. So that's something we need to fix on the web version. If you click on the link, it loads on the same page. And this is annoying. So I was here. Pet store. Pet tire. Mock. And that gives me a URL. So now I have this one. And I can go in here. So I have my base URL, which is a collection level variable. So I can go in here, say edit, and replace this by my variable. And now, if I send that request, it should actually send it to that URL, so my mock server, and reply with the sample string. So it's a working backend, right? But we host it, and it's only sending whatever example response you add. So you obviously don't want to use that in production, but it's a good way to mock your APIs and see what would happen based on what you send, and see the data that's coming back. Obviously, so if I export that as a, let's see, if I export that as curl, and let me make it so it's for Windows. I think it's this one, the space is for Windows. Okay, I can get this. Okay, nice.
Get WSL.
Yeah, PowerShell should do this, right? Yeah. Oh.
What is your parameter can be found? Request line 1 char1. Okay, that's interesting. Should have tried that before. Can I use libcurl? Nah.
I mean, do you happen to have the bash terminal from Git bash?
I think I have it actually. Let me see.
Git bash. Yeah, that'll work.
Nice, cool. Finally, after using 3 different terminal or command prompt on Windows.
Another aside, like, have you tried using the Windows terminal? I think that combines every single thing in one of them, by the way. So
the newest one, right?
yeah. So if you look at, I think it already auto installed if it updated recently. Can you try Windows terminal? It's called Windows Terminal.
Wait, if I could type again, Windows Terminal.
I don't think. Well, I think I installed the beta before. Yeah, it should install. Like, that's totally. It's pretty nice. It looks pretty.
Let's take a quick aside and see him install it.
Yeah.
It's gonna go through the Microsoft Store. Ouch.
Hey, ecosystem. They're building ecosystem. Okay.
That's right. No thanks. Okay, cool. I own it. Can I install it now? Jeez. Wait. So it's still installed somehow. Okay, cool.
It's installing automatically. Why would they make you sign in and also install it in the background? Like,
okay, and
now you can click on. This is not gonna work. It's the same. It's still PowerShell, but you can click on plus.
So you can click on
before you plus, no, drop down. Sorry, the drop down on the side.
Wait. That's not great UI.
So close that. The drop down. Now I can select what you want.
Okay.
You can open the Ubuntu because you already have WSL.
Yep.
So this will open up it's a single shell, one shell to rule them all kind of situation.
That is cool.
Yeah, you could do, and the copy paste works much better in this one.
Okay, let me, I think, did I? Yeah, I copy pasted something else. Let me go back to Postman. Cool. Nice.
Finally.
Okay, that's cool. I did not know about this one.
Well, you taught us like 7 new things. We taught you 1. So I think we can call it even.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove all of these. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically I have that server and I can use it, right? Like I could export and put that code in my application as well, and that would work. So that's the mocking feature.
Is this mocking? Is this mocking part of the free tier? Or is it paid?
It's part of the free tier. The limit you have is the number of calls you can make to your mock server. I don't want to say anything wrong, so I'll double check.
Because that's real powerful. That's real powerful.
Let's see, mocking. Wait. Oh, okay. So on the free, 1,000 calls per month. If you're on team, 10,000, and then I think you can add like add-ons for mock calls. No, it's only for monitoring. But yeah, so you've got free calls.
But he still got 1,000 a monitoring call 1,000. I mean, in the free tier, that's amazing.
So I think everything I've done during the demo here And that's what I always try to do when I do a demo. And everything I've done, you can do it on the free tier. I don't want to demo stuff that you wouldn't have access to directly. And so that's the business model of Postman, right? Like anything that you would do as a single user, you can do it for free. What the reason why you would want to upgrade is whether you're collaborating with people, you need to share more in the Postman setup, etc. But basically, like the app runs on its own. You don't have to pay. On the app, you don't even need to have an account if you don't want to create an account. So that will limit your some features, obviously. Like you won't have the multi app or multi PC sync, etc. But like, if you don't want to have an account, you cannot have an account.
Nice.
Cool. So that's there's I've not talked about all of them. We've talked about Observe. We've talked about the test suite, and we've created a mock server as well. The documentation, that's what we've shown before. So I could very easily go from that Swagger all the way to the documentation on the web in a few clicks. And now actually, let's talk about environments. I didn't really talk about that, and we did mention it before. So environments are like your secrets.yaml file or anything. And the reason why you may want to use it is that instead of going into, again, each request and updating your base URL, for example, if you have different backend that you're calling, you have your staging backend, you have your like beta backend, you have your prod backend. You can have a different environment for all of them. And I'll create a new one. So I'll add an environment that's going to call it staging, for example, and it will have a base URL of, let's say, staging-ebm.com. Why not? And then I'll add a prod one. And base URL is going to be just ibm.com. And now if I had a collection like this one that uses base URL, well, actually it's using it at the collection level, so let's change it. Let's change this one. So you see I have these three different ones. I could replace that with my base URL. And based on which environment is selected, let's say I'm currently testing out my staging environment. All I have to do is change that, and all my requests are now going to go and hit the staging environment. And obviously, I could also have here, I can add my staging API key, which is going to be like API key staging. And I can add my staging username. It's going to be username staging. And all of this, I can replicate it between the two. And if I need, like, for example, here an authorization, I have this one is going to be username. Yep, username, and password is going to be my, one password, just trying to insert stuff. So this one is going to be API key. And now, so same here, right? Like, instead of going in or having two different collections, one for staging and one for prod, all I have to do is update the environment whenever I'm calling one or the other, and it's going to update all the values.
That's awesome.
So that's the environment in a nutshell. So you can attach environments to things, you can export them, and if you want to go into the CLI stuff and how you can run Postman in your CI/CD, that's one way. So you would have a collection JSON and an environment.json paired together, and it would just send to this environment.
Actually, so Ari and JJ, I think we should take a quick 5-minute break, get some water. And when we come back, I think what I had like finished this conversation with the thing you just mentioned, like CI/CD and where do you see Postman? Because I think for the last 20 minutes, things you have been talking about have been completely new and problems I didn't even think I had. And but CI/CD and Postman sounds really interesting, and I would like to learn a little bit more. So let's take a quick 5-minute break, and for the later half of this, we can come back and talk about where you see Postman being used a lot in the CI/CD space.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, there we go. And we're back.
All
We're back.
right.
Cool.
Good to
Yay.
be back. So yeah,
So-
before the break, I think I was just kind of like talking. We're talking about all the features Postman has, and for most people in the industry, Postman is still that like gateway tool where you're like quickly putting your API in and getting a output back, and you're moving on. But there are some like really useful use cases that I'm seeing more and more, but I don't see it being talked about more and more. So like the amount of value I see versus the amount of talk people are talking about, I don't think they match. So I think we're trying to change that here. So Ari, the next bit of things I think we want to talk about a little bit in depth is where do you see Postman fitting into the whole DevOps CI/CD, which JJ and I are very passionate about. JJ have spent probably couple of lifetimes in that world. So yeah, so like where do you see Postman kind of fitting in, and what kind of gaps do you see Postman filling in?
So that's yeah, I think you mentioned exactly that, right? Like we are promoting API first, and I mentioned that before, like the way how you start with the API, like design of your API, like definition of your API, and then you keep on moving from there on in your development process. So we are pushing on that because that's where we see people going. And yeah, it's not happening, and that's what I was mentioning as well, right? Like it's getting adoption on the customer or like big enterprise side, but like from the community, we don't get that much requests around that. So that's the main thing that we're heading into. So the whole API first on the CI/CD side. So we've been doing that for so long actually. Like I think from the very start, it was one of the things we wanted to do because Postman was a testing tool at first, and one thing you do want to have in your CI/CD pipeline is tests to make sure that everything like runs perfectly. So I'll actually share again and show you what we have.
And another thing before you start talking about it, another thing when you talk about that, there is like you don't see in the community too much adoption there. I honestly feel for a lot of these things that when you talk about how community is behaving, there's a lot of chicken and egg thing, right? Community doesn't talk about it because they don't hear about it, and you don't talk about it because community doesn't want, like you don't see community hearing. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You don't think community wants it, then that's why you don't share it way too much, and community doesn't hear it, that's why they don't want it, right? It's just
that's why I'm here, Murphy.
Yeah,
trying to spread the good words.
Yeah, changing hearts and minds out here. Yeah, let's do
it. Cool. So yeah, talking about CI/CD or like just the Postman CI. So we actually have a project called Newman. So I'll just go directly to GitHub, this one is fully open source. And it's very simple in a sense. All it is, it's a CLI that allows you to run Postman collection. And what you have to do is Newman run either the JSON or like collection export of your collection or the URL of it. So that works too. And this basically what we've seen in the collection runner when we did that before, right? Like we ran the whole collection and we saw the results of the test, what was running, what was not.
I just got it. Newman, Postman.
Yep.
Oh God, I'm an idiot.
Actually, so to be fair, I did not know before joining the company either. It took me a while.
Well, y'all want to share like that? I still don't get it. So go, JJ.
So, yeah, go JJ. It's a very US TV show, right?
Yeah, well, it's from Seinfeld, right?
I didn't watch Seinfeld.
Oh.
So I didn't watch it either, which is why I didn't realize. And then people were all like, "Oh, Newman." So I think he's the male guy in their company. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a U.S. mail postal one, and it's a play off of Newman because he was like Seinfeld's, like, I guess, antagonist is a good way to put it. And then being that Postman Newman, this is creating a new way to interact with Postman. It's there's a couple levels there, and it's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, we have a few things like this if you dig a bit, but yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. An example of how you use it in your code as a library. It's pretty much it, right? Like you can use that anywhere. It's a Node.js package, so anywhere that can run Node.js.
Right.
npm install Newman.
So basically, this is allowing one extra level of testing where people would just do unit test on their CI. Now you can do unit and integration at almost the same time, right? Because
Yep.
with the collection, you're making an actual API call to the running endpoint instead of, right? So,
Yep.
okay.
So there's that. And the other thing I wanted to mention, but now I think I've lost it. Yeah, I think I've lost it just by replaying introduction. But yeah, so yeah, using that in your CI/CD is pretty handy. But you can also, I mentioned the Postman CLI, which was something else. So the Postman CLI is actually another project which I'll still mention here. I think Postman CLI. Nope. Let's just do. So this one just allows you to have it running locally. So what you'll do, you'll export your collection, and it's going to create the whole thing as folders on your device, and then you can open that in your favorite IDE. So I just want to make sure that there's no. It's two different things. This one is just to have it run locally and use your favorite IDE. This one is to run in UCIC. And now I remember what I wanted to mention. So this is one thing. Runs the test and tells you what failed, what didn't fail. But you can actually generate reports from that. So full on CSV, JSON, and there's one called. So you can create your own. The most known one in the community is Newman Extra HTML Reporter. Oh. HTML Extra. And this one actually creates a whole dashboard of what happened.
Wow.
You can see the number of iterations, assertions, what failed, the details of the tests that were skipped or that succeeded.
What I love the most about this is that in the demo, the first thing that person does is opens up the light and dark mode, just to like make sure, yes, we are cool developers. We have dark mode.
He's
then
actually
move on to the actual things.
So guy that created that is a colleague of mine called Danny, and he's been talking about, he's actually implemented the dark mode like very recently, and he was so happy about that.
Yeah.
That I'm not even surprised that he started with that. I didn't know about that GIF before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, because like when you opened your Postman like desktop app in your computer and it was on light mode, I died a little bit inside.
Is it?
I was it was in light mode and I was like,
Oh yeah, it is actually. Well, actually, so I do this webinar like Postman one-on-one every month, and one of my like tips and trick is, oh, actually, we have a dark mode, and I just go in and say, please use the dark mode. It's gonna like save your eyes, etc., etc. But yeah, I don't know why it switched back to light mode, to be honest. Probably because I was doing a demo before, and I tend to do them in the light mode, just because contrast or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, if you're especially doing this like on a what do you call that? Those things, projectors.
Computers.
Yeah.
No, projectors are terrible at projecting dark.
Yep.
Because like projector sends light and dark is not actual a color. It's just like lack of white light.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes like most projectors, especially on if you have a single bulb projector, those are terrible at projecting dark color. It just becomes dim. That's what it does. So everything becomes dim.
But yeah, so that's the reporter that you can use in conjunction with Newman. You can just use the default one, but it just outputs like some very closed it, but it puts like some very simple output, which just says that many succeeded, that many failed. This one gives you like a lot of details around and you can just go through the iterations as well, which is nice.
So I have a question. So for example, this is running against like some collection that has like your application deployed somewhere, right? So is this mostly used around like for regression? Like after the application has been deployed, you check that the new API is not breaking anything? Because when you're testing, when you have a unit test, that tests your code directly, but this can only test a deployed version. So if you have changes coming in and you test against the previous deployment, it doesn't really, right?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I'm sure there are use cases where you want to test if an API is up before pushing something. But yeah, that's
because I could totally see this being part of after the deployment, you run this, and if there's regress more than what it was before, like in terms of time, in terms of whatever, you can then roll back. That's something I can totally see happening. But yeah.
Well, I
Very
guess
much
so. What? Yeah, go for it, JJ.
I was gonna say very much this is like you could put this in your pipeline, right, and run this off as a third party to be like validate the happy path, and to your point, make sure the response comes back because we can test how long the response takes, et cetera,
No, right,
as we saw
JJ,
earlier.
but I think what I was trying to get to is that let's say you made some changes in your code, right?
Mhm.
This can test against a running instance of it. So your code has not been deployed yet at the time of CI,
Well,
right?
no, I'm saying like a blue green deployment, right? Where
Right,
you do, where you have it like cordoned off over in another corner or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you run your Postman, and then as soon as all the tests pass, it triggers a webhook to flip the bit from old to new or whatever.
Yeah,
So I
and to
think-
make sure that
One thing that it is useful for is that it kind of does the equivalent of the like Postman monitor, but Postman monitor you're limiting in the number of calls, so that just allows you to go like above and beyond that limit because you actually run it locally, right?
yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think I like the term not locally, at least in the
Yeah,
case of
Yeah.
of the CI/CD. I think I prefer the term externally.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a way to programmatically to tickle all your APIs in a reportable way, especially with that nice report where if you throw that in as the response, and then you can actually, after deployment's done, you just email out the response saying, hey, this is the stat of everything happening. Congratulations. Like,
Yeah,
hit this button to do it.
I
or
could
whatever.
totally see this in like few places. One is like post deployed, checking for regression, and another one could be just as a cron, right? It could, because if you're not one of those people teams that have like Postman that you can like run monitoring all the time, you could create your own monitoring system on top of this, which is something I can also see people using it for, which is really cool. Really, yeah.
Yeah, so as you have noticed, this is not my area of expertise.
We,
That's where-
So
we can't hear you.
your audio is kind of like,
went way down.
Oh, is it because I'm too far from the mic? Probably. Is that better?
no, it's
Nope.
still low. I don't know what happened.
Hmm.
Did your audio source change? Zoom sometimes
Yeah,
does that.
I'm checking, but not really. Right. Let me check. Hmm. Okay, what about now? Is that better?
Nope.
Nope, your microphone just like getting like low amount of audio for some reason. I don't understand.
Okay, let me try something.
You maybe want to check on Zoom as well. What is your source right now? Did you set it to, because Zoom has its own selector too.
Stop sharing first. and
Okay.
Then
Okay, what if I use that
Oh.
one instead?
There we go.
It
Yeah,
was pretty good.
I'm just gonna use the headset one.
All right.
Little mic switch. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know,
no
that's
stream
weird.
is complete without a little bit of audio trouble. I was getting worried because we didn't have so far, like it's been like close to 2 hours. We had zero audio trouble.
Yeah, I think I've never streamed for that long. It's probably my mic probably doesn't handle that long. That's
Yeah,
all I
it just have a timer. It's just after like 1.5
today I
hours.
learned, yeah.
It's just
It's the famous Zoom 44-minute
Mhm.
alarm saying, "Nope, you've been on Zoom too long."
I wish I had one of these, especially in these times. Like I have so many meetings. Okay, so did you want to go back to yours and do some IBM related Kubernetes API stuff?
yeah, let's
Anything you
build
wanna
something
explore?
up and let's see one of them like doing things. Why not? I mean, we on the Kubernetes API side, we had like bunch of public API that we don't need any API key stuff. So if you want to start with those, you could. If you want to,
Actually, I'm interested in your IBM Cloud one because
Okay.
I remember there was another colleague back then who'd created his own collection.
I think you showed it to us the other day.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to open that up.
Okay, let me. share
Also,
my-
you're not sharing your screen anymore.
Yep,
you
yep.
want to
Just went back.
Get back.
So that's the tons of resources for IBM Cloud that a lot of people probably know about. But if you want to access that, I think it's just that link ibm.b/IBM Cloud Help. I'm turning back into the IBM developer advocate now.
Nice.
But yeah, I was
This
chatting
was
with.
this
Oh,
was the
no.
sneaky goal all along.
Yeah.
Convert you back.
I was chatting with Lionel, who's created all that, and a while ago, and he was just interested in how we could like make this stuff available. And we talked about the run in Postman button, which is something that I've not talked about actually before. Run in Postman button is basically something that is linked to a collection, and by clicking on it, anyone that has Postman can import it and start playing with it automatically. So you have an IBM Cloud collection yourself already. I don't know if you've made it public yet, but this is typically the kind of stuff that you could like put out there for anyone to use. And you would create an environment, put the placeholder for API key. I think it's IBM Cloud API key that you need to use.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. And then you could just like use that as a thing, and everyone just has to update that parameter with their API key, and they can use it. So why is it taking a while? Let me just do it in Windows.
It's angry.
Yeah, I think Chrome is reaching its limit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one he created. Let's look at what's in there. Authentication. So I could get my IAM access token from here. If I put my API key here. And it's actually using test as well. So one cool thing that it's actually doing here, instead of me having to replace the value in the environment, and it imported that as well by default. Instead of me having to go in there and update the value, it's using the Postman API to set the value directly from the result of the call. So if I were to call this with my API key, actually, is it easy to get my API key?
Yeah, quite easy. And
Okay.
you go to manage.
Manage.
And access IAM.
Do I need
and
to
then
hide,
you go to API key on the left.
Do you need to hide my screen when I do that?
No,
or?
you don't have to.
Okay.
Yeah, it will come back as like dot.
Oh, yeah.
So your
Switch,
password
yeah.
it's Hunter2 for anyone who doesn't know.
I mean, so that's one of the things on the Postman stream that we do. There's not a single stream that we don't leak credentials anyway. Like we try our best. We have like a secret scene as well that we put in anytime we share something, etc.
Yeah, but like when you paste it, we copy it, right?
There's always a moment where you can.
So JJ, if you want to bring back that real
I mean,
quick.
I don't mind. I'll remove it right after the stream.
Well, here, hopefully it switched over. If you see it, Ari, that's the top.
Yep, it's top secret now. You can open it.
Oh, good. Nice, yeah. Cool. So I'll go to my here to my environment, paste it here, and that should be fine. Cool. Should be good.
All right, let's bring it back.
So I'm not gonna hover on this because this would show my API key, but it's here now. And so is that all I need to log in?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll send, see what happens.
Well, the keyword here. Okay, here it is. Nice.
So there's these tokens. I can show them. It's long enough. No one's gonna copy them.
Yeah, anyway. It's gonna go away.
It's so fine. These tokens, because it's put that in the test scripts, are now in here. So you can see my access token and you can see my API key. But yeah, so they're in here, and I told you it wouldn't last long.
Yeah, It was a good run. It was a good run for 18 seconds. I enjoyed.
But yeah, you can see my tokens here, and it's been updated automatically from the test. So that's nice.
Yeah, this is actually this is a good tip. Pro tip right there.
Yeah, let's see what else he has. So I do not have any buckets, so that wouldn't show anything. Yeah. What would that do? Does it just?
IBM Kubernetes service. He has the Kubernetes service there. You can probably look at some stuff there.
Let's see. Is that
IKS? Here it is.
Okay, so I wouldn't have anything here. So is that all I need? My
Yeah, so you need an access token and a refresh token.
Okay.
Those are already set, so you're good.
So I can just send and it says empty because I don't have any.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I easily create one, or do I need a paid account?
You can create a free cluster, yeah, on a UI. You should be able to.
Let's see. Let's see if I remember.
Kubernetes clusters. And you can go create.
It's gonna take a little while to create, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you'll see the information. You'll see the cluster.
True.
Click on create cluster. And
do you want to tell me about Red Hat OpenShift?
Well, I don't think OpenShift has a free environment though. That is
I've seen.
No.
Did I just read today about them like decreasing the prices by?
They
a
did,
ton?
yes. So we're gonna, I think that is going GA, I think next week or something. So if you want to drop down the standard, if you drop down on the standard, click on free,
Okay.
and that's it. You just, oh, you have to upgrade. You have to be on the, never mind.
Oh, I need to. Oh, yeah, I need to be. On
Okay, send me the link. Let me build one, and I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So send me the link of the where you found the UI.
Yeah. So it is. Oh wait, sorry, I stopped sharing for some reason. That's not what I meant. I'll send it to you on the chat of Zoom.
Okay.
There you go.
And chat. One of these
Yeah.
days I'll find it.
I'll share back.
Okay, I found it. Excellent.
Oh, but wait,
Well-
that wouldn't work, right? Because I would need your credentials, etc. So you may as well
Yeah,
do
yeah.
the whole Postman thing. Okay, so you.
Okay, you
try.
can just walk me. You can teach me how to do it.
Yep. Let's
And
do
I'll
that.
do it. And screen 2, I'll share that. I should have overridden the share. I did that. I'm just looking for the URL where you go to find the, yeah, Lionel's URL. Send me that one.
It is. Did I... Yeah, I'll send that in the chat. There you go.
Okay, here we are. Wait, I'm still on the, did you send it to me?
This.
Oh, the
Yeah.
second one. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
they're just jumbled together. I couldn't see it. Here we are, and I'm gonna do run in Postman for Mac, open Postman, and see what happens. It did it, I
Nice.
think. This one.
Yeah, the
No,
the top
not
one.
this
That's
one.
yours. Yeah.
Wait,
Right,
where
right
is it?
above. Right above. They're
Oh,
both
IBM Cloud. There it
IBM
is.
Cloud.
Ah. Tunnel vision. So authenticate, retrieve XSIAM token. I'm gonna get myself one because I have a
Yep.
one that I was gonna throw away anyway in a few days. Okay, hold on. Copy this code, and I have to do IBM Cloud. Oh, okay. Then I'm gonna do this. Can I? Okay.
So so if you go on the right, yeah, you should have the little pencil thing.
Okay.
you
So I'm gonna do it on a different screen real quick
Yep.
and come back. I'm trying to like keep that streak going of us. Okay. So
Yeah,
and
I'm
it's just
actually
enter and it's
gonna-
done, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I have done it, and I'm gonna close that, bring it right back where we were, and then send it. And oh, something happened. Provided API key. Did I delete my API key already? I may have. Hold on. Let me get another API key. Probably just deleted my API key because
Yeah, I was
did
just
it on a
thinking about.
previous stream where I showed it,
Fine.
and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to delete this one. Then I deleted it. Ah,
Let's see.
okay.
Cool. I've deleted mine. I am now safe. I mean, I was on a free account anyway.
Yeah,
so-
if someone wanted to upgrade your account for by stealing your API key, I don't think you would have mind.
So what's the pricing model at the moment for IBM? Do you still have the unlimited free account, a light tier?
Yeah, so light tier is still unlimited, but light tier is mostly limited to API stuff. So if you go to the catalog, I have that copied. So in the meantime, I go. So anything you see light, you have that unlimited light as long as you use it with certain limit. So if you go to services, so anything you see light or free, that's basically available to you for light. Kubernetes, we tried giving it on light. The problem was it's easy to create IBM Cloud account when you give it to light because you don't ask people to put their credit card.
Yeah.
So we saw some scam happening on that front because people are just creating a bunch of accounts, getting a bunch of Kubernetes cluster and mining coin. So
As you do.
As you do, right? So we had to put an end to that. I mean, it's terrible. Like, it's bad that we can give people access to this, but we also don't want people to have to put their credit card, because we're in a lot of geos where credit card is not as common as US.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Like, we have to choose one or the other, and which is both are terrible in their own ways. So yeah. So anything you see.
Okay.
Anyway, I was trying to not show
Yeah,
my
there's a lot
API
of
key.
new stuff in this catalog. I need to have a second look.
Yeah, I think that it's every time I log in, I find like 10 new things that I have no idea, and I am too afraid to ask.
I think mostly I see a lot of third party that there wasn't before. Like I see AT&T, Box, Bosch, etc.
Yeah, so you have a bunch of third-party things, as well as we have a bunch of like now Helm chart is a first-class thing that we sometimes shows up on the catalog. So anyway, so I have done it. I have
Cool.
successfully copied my API key and got myself a refresh token, which is great. And Kubernetes service list. I don't have VPC clusters. Oh, cluster details. Let's see. I don't have any VPC cluster. I have regular clusters. This is gonna work. I have no VPC cluster either.
Do you have like containers in the like ICR thing?
Container registry. I can probably do that one. List registry namespace. I can do that one. So I can make that. Geez.
So you need to put your
Oh,
see
yeah,
how this register region. So you would need
I think
to
it's US, just US.
update the
Geez, I'm gonna region. Is it, what is it called?
Is it not US South or something?
No, it's just US, but
Okay.
registry region. Can I, okay, another question. Can I update this variable from here, like without opening my variable thing?
No.
Aw.
I think.
Oh, I could. Here it is.
Oh no. So you can set. You can't like update. Basically, now what you've done, you've set registry region to registry region.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I think. So one of the top requests that we have is to prompt, like whenever. a
Yeah, I
variable
think
is not
that would
set.
be actually pretty
Yeah.
ideal. Hold on, I could do another thing here. So I have this thing I use called Better Touch tool, and it lets you like resize screen things. So it was not on for some reason. Where is registry region? Oh, I found it. Got it. So it's just called US. They did some work on that. Like now our registry regions are different. It used to be like the Bluemix long URLs. Now we just get
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. Because I was
it
stuck
included
on that.
target account. Oh Lord. Okay, I have
Okay.
to add another thing.
So
Account
let's
ID.
see.
We have to add that. Access token is already there, but I have to also select account ID. My account
So
ID.
how do you get your account ID?
So I can
that
get my
your
account ID
email?
from my CLI. I'll do that. So I can say IBM Cloud account show, and depending on which one I'm logged into, it will show me. Mine should be 9B something. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so going back again. I should just like delete the API key once I'm done. I feel like
yeah.
I'm doing way too much work to like not, and I feel like I'm gonna, okay, so I said it, now I'm gonna do it and things will happen. Okay, those are all the
Nice.
namespaces that are there. As you can see, I have one because I'm on that account too. What else we have? VPC, we have some VPC list, all VPCs, we can try that.
So from what I can see, that collection for now is a lot about like getting information from your account. There's not much about
Yeah, this is
taking
yeah.
actions. So is your collection in the same vein, or do you actually try to?
No, mine is mostly taking action actually.
Okay.
Mine is creating cluster, getting user, because well, but I do need to set the values properly, like because I'm doing this instead of.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's
Well,
do
so
this. Let me
actually,
change
what you can do here, can you select all of this?
Select all of them.
All of the bearer token. No, just when you were in the value there, authorization on the right.
Yeah.
So now you have this set. So cancel that. So select just the actual value of the token. Keep the bearer.
Oh. This.
So you wait. Let me.
This.
Did you set it as a variable already?
Well, I can just use the IBM Cloud. It's already set there.
Yeah. So what you could have done, I just wanted to show how you have this set as variable thing, but that works too.
Oh, yeah. I get it, because that was an old variable that's not gonna work no
Okay,
more.
okay.
So let's send it. Here it is, bunch of clusters.
Okay, that looks
I have like
Yeah.
50 clusters in that account.
that looks more like
But
it.
I mean, again, I didn't know environment variables, like the whole process of setting it and using it. So just by using this, my quality of life improved like 8%.
I think so.
Right.
This set as variable thing is going to be useful when you want to, like, so that collection that you have, the IBM Cloud lowercase,
Mhm.
when you want to make that something that is reusable, you'll have your values currently. But see, for example, here you could just go select the value of your bearer token.
Right.
And,
Okay.
and do set as variable, and from that you'll kind of populate your environment,
I see.
and
see.
then you can.
Yeah,
No,
I
not
don't
like
want to
that.
set it because that variable is bad.
So
but
not like that. You should have a pop-up at the top that just says set as variable, and you can actually select the scope, etc.
I see. And also, like, if you, for example, if I want to create a cluster on IBM Cloud with this, I will just set this and send these values properly, and that will create a IBM Cloud cluster for me. But I don't do create a new cluster, obviously, but I could technically do it. I can delete a cluster. Hold on, let me find a cluster to delete. I like deleting clusters. Okay, so here, and on this, I think also would be useful on this if I did a visualize on this with the data centers and whatnot.
Oh, this one actually gives you the location. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything on the test, so I just need to add that, like, things on the test to do stuff. That would be cool. That's something I can spend, or I can find someone who is more versed on the ways of HTML and CSS and make them do it for me, because I'm terrible at it.
Yeah, but I think that collection is that would be quite useful. Obviously, like ideally for us, we would have all of IBM Cloud APIs on there.
Yeah.
But I know how hard it is to get like all of the teams to work together on one thing.
So, okay, so one thing I want to show though, for IBM Cloud, especially if you're like, trying to get some API docs, we do have the API docs for all of them. It's just a matter of connecting to the right people to get them as Swagger, because
So
we
I think-
have them
I think they
visible.
all have Swagger.
They're Swagger. I'm just saying getting the Swagger, actual Swagger doc, because on
No,
this UI,
You can get them from there. Like if you go, let me see.
and
So
looking at it, almost
click the three dots next to compare and comply at the top left,
okay.
and you've got the OpenAPI definition for all of them.
definitions. Yeah. So JJ, I think we have found our, like, let's just make ourselves a whole thing at Postman for us.
Let's
Yeah,
see,
so it's
where's-
already done for you basically. You don't even have to create it yourself.
Yeah,
You can
excellent.
You can create a master collection and just share it.
Yeah. As long as Arlemy promises he's gonna put us on the feature
On the
top.
featured, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
the problem.
That's the only requirement. Unless I'm gonna spend a weekend doing this if you promise it's gonna happen.
easy done.
Okay, done. Then done from my side. I'm just gonna go through, click, download, add them together, put it up.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Like, there's a way to automate even these clicks.
Yes.
If you wanna, that would be another weekend project. But
Yeah. So like, yeah. So I sometimes use this example in board games, right? Like, so when you like some of the board games are like action based, so you're limited by how many things you could do.
yeah.
Like, very simple example is chess, right? Sometimes you are like in your head, you have 2 steps you could need to do to get something done, but you forget that your opponent gets a step in the middle too. So you're like, I'm gonna move there, I'm gonna do this and checkmate, but your opponent gets a move in between. You forget that.
Yep.
So like, yeah, 1 week is this, then my opponent is gonna put some work in between. That's gonna be in there. Yeah. So, but again, this is phenomenal, especially these 2 things. That's gonna be, I'm gonna abuse them so hard. It's not.
Yeah, this one I think, that's where I personally have the most fun because of all the on-the-fly stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And like, you can very easily. So like the whole like the thing that I showed where you can do like just set the current date is whenever I show that on stream, same or like on the one-on-one Postman thing, people are always like very happy to see that. But it's an easy one to win.
Access token. I'm doing the Postman thing again. So look at this, same result, but now it's coming from a variable. So
Beautiful.
just to make Arlem a little happier.
Well, what you could do instead of like going and replacing them all, you could export that as Actually, let me check. Can you try find and replace at the bottom left?
Find and replace on the
At the
okay.
very bottom left, yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know. Can you do? Yeah. So you could look for your bear token if it's at a lot of places and just replace it with.
Bear, then
No.
star. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Or just the actual bear.
Well, the
token,
thing
'cause
is, the way I was doing it, I would, again, you're gonna laugh, but I would use the IAM token first, use my API key to get an access token, and then use the access token to wherever I need it for whatever API.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
life
can
was
be-
terrible. Yeah, I was doing a lot of bad things, but now I have learned the ways, and I'll automate everything. And
Yeah, there's I think it's common to a lot of tools as well, right? Like when you use it at first, you'll never know about all these like little things that make your life better, and you'll find this one article or this one stream that tells you actually you can do that, and that's when you have like this clickety that goes, oh, a whole new world.
I feel like another reason for this, like a lot of people, right, like would claim on their resume that they know how to use Excel or Microsoft Word because they're such consumer facing, easy to get into application, right?
Yeah.
But like those applications have so many layers. And I feel like Postman is becoming one of those because a lot of people knows about it. They have used it for one or two things, but like there's so much depth now.
Yeah, I think that's where like when you use a tool at a certain point in time and you think that tool is stuck in time and doesn't evolve. And this is an issue we have, and like letting people know that all that is new. So we release every 2 weeks, so we kind of have like a new feature every 2 weeks. When there's a new feature, that is not every time, but like it's so hard to reach out to everyone. You have release notes, and that's one way to let them know, but no one really reads the release notes. We do webinars, but not everyone joins the webinars.
Right.
So it's always a tricky thing, and I think like it's probably the case for you as well, right? Like if you have a new feature, how do you let your community know about it?
Like for us, I think that one thing is good is that for in general, like IBM or like any cloud company, we're generally known to have more than one things, right? So I think that is easier to sell than Postman is so known for they're so great at doing this first step. I think oftentimes that might end up being a disadvantage because people just know you for your that thing. And then educating people on the other things becomes like a whole other thing, right? So yeah, I stopped sharing because I just have so much homework to do on this because my APIs have been terrible for lack of a better term. No, honestly, like I think some of those things are so like after you showed it to me, they're such no-brainers, right? Like they're such easy wins, requires little to no effort, but improve life's quality so much immediately.
Yeah, so like that's one of the best feeling I have every time. Like I'll talk about this Postman one-on-one webinars, but I know every time I do it and I show something and I see like all the chat going, what, you can do this and you can do that. And it's just like enlightening like all these people that with a simple thing like just the test or the environment. People are like, what? And the top one is always the code generation one. So you knew about it, but we're very good at hiding this kind of stuff. So it's just behind this little like small code button in the UI. So if you don't look for it, it's very hard to find. And when you show that to people, they're all like mind blown.
I mean,
basically.
You have still a single UI people coming through and you are still able to hide it. Imagine us, we have literal different websites for different things. We are masters at hiding this. Some of the things they don't even let us know. They're so good at hiding. We don't like JJ and I, almost every stream we'll find something new on IBM Cloud that we thought we knew, but we don't. It's just so frustrating. But again, this is kind of like this, like a moving target every day we're going in. And the code stuff that like Postman is doing, I feel like there are so much room for improvement on that side. And as you mentioned, there are some things in the works. I am super stoked to see what comes out of it because I feel like there is like a decent gap. Like for example, when you're generating SDK from OpenAPI, right? SDK is something that requires business logic, so it's hard to generate the full code. But for client, it's a no-brainer that we should have better client generators for whatever language. And Postman is such a good spot because you guys already have the libraries to do every single language in the face of the earth, right? Like there are languages here that I don't think are necessary. Like you have 3 different ones for PHP. Like
Like, we've heard some people still use PHP, and we wanted to make them happy. We're
right.
just-
So you have three for
in a good day.
PHP. You have 3 for PHP, 4 for Node.js, 3 for JavaScript, right? So like it's just 2 for Java, only 1 for Go. Not salty, but I'm just saying.
So I'm gonna say these code generators are actually open source. So
Right.
if you feel like taking part in that to like add more for Go,
Well, I mean, that's not the thing though. With Go, the language is so great. One is
that you
enough.
only need one. Yeah.
Only one is enough. Like JavaScript can decide what they want. They need 7. Like
True. I mean, this is true, and we just added like 2 months ago Axios because that's the new like in library for like
Yeah.
Node.js.
Yeah.
So it's true. Like you gotta keep going with that.
Yeah. No, but I feel like, I mean, this stuff, like I feel like for the collection stuff, when they come out, I mean,
Yeah,
we should
so-
definitely come back and show that off because that's something
So actually,
people need to
the
know.
quick story for the collection level generation as well. So we've taken part in the Google Summer of Code thing, and this is one
Mhm.
of their like student that just did that for us. I say did that for us, did that with us, but that was like his project assigned for the summer. So like we're like really looking forward to having like his project out there, and same that's going to be like open source because it's coming out of
That's
the Google
awesome.
Summer of Code anyway. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, timeline wise, I wish I could give a we have a public roadmap that me and my colleague Joyce are in charge of updating, but it's still a manual process, and we are like
Mhm.
kind of struggling to keep up with everything that's coming out.
Yeah.
But we're trying.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, honestly, if you need like more headcount into just like helping out, I would be more willing because that's something I care for and I have use case. I mean, at this point, I have done most of the stuff manually, but I think next time I need to do this, it'll be great. So, if you want to connect some dots there that I could
Yep.
spare, like find some time to help out there as well. If nothing,
Sure.
being someone who has a use case for this and try it out and say, this doesn't work for the thing I'm trying to do, right? So yeah, that's something I'd be more than willing and able to help out if that's necessary.
Yeah, I think we have like we have so much going on that side. So we're I don't know, shout out if anyone's watching and wants to join Postman. We're recruiting on the developer advocacy side. We need more people because we're struggling to handle all that. But yeah, so just put it out there just in case. But yeah.
What's the best way to get in contact with you, Ari?
Best way to get in touch with me is either through Twitter, so at Arlemy. I'm lucky enough that my name was made up by my parents, so you can find me anywhere by typing Arlemy. You can find me Google, type Arlemy, it's all me. So that or arlemy@postman.com works as well. Yeah, any of them. I'm everywhere.
I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and I'll post this to YouTube so we can push it out to
Yeah,
do some more.
That's
Yeah,
something.
definitely.
That's something I am interested in watching later as well, because there are some things I probably will forget by the time I actually use it next time. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm definitely going to share it as well. I think that whole, so when I do my one-on-one, it's just me talking to people and I have my like thing to go through. But having this conversation as well that makes me move from one place to the other, I think is going to add to it. So
now I definitely enjoy like this format of this, because oftentimes, like when you are going through your talking points, right? It's easy to go over things that you think are not that important, but there could be, and also sometimes you have a idea that this can be used in X ways, but the person on the other side probably is thinking, okay, can I use it? Maybe they can, but you didn't think of it, or they think of something that is not actually possible. There's a lot of this back and forth I really enjoy. And it has been an amazing learning experience. It's one of those streams that I honestly can say I have learned so much, and I can immediately see like the things that will improve my life going forward. And that is pretty
cool.
awesome.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No joke, Ari, to pair what Mofi said, but if I've learned anything through all the streams that I have done, having a wing person with your stream, so you're just not talking to the void, and or occasionally a line of text in a chat room makes, first of all, streaming so much better, so much better. And you're amazing what, you know, just two people coming together to, or 2+ people coming together to try to figure something out.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I like that we kind of show both sides as well, because like I don't mind showing stuff, but like, you know, we mentioned that before. It's very good to show an actual use case, and you had like you already had this Postman / IBM Cloud stuff done, so that always helps a lot. So yeah, thanks a lot to both of you for having me on the stream. That was very cool.
I also volunteer Mofi to come join yours whenever you want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we've had Upcar joining a while ago doing some Node-RED.
That's right. Yeah,
But yeah, we I mean, so we're pausing in November because we have our user conference coming up, but we'll resume in December. So definitely we'll do that.
Nice.
Maybe sometime in like one of the other conferences you guys do, I can come back and see how Postman improved my life.
I mean, if you have 7 days left to submit a CFP to our Postman user conference coming up.
I'll do it.
So
I mean, in the 7 days, I'll have to like put on a bunch of tests to show you that what I have learned.
You know how it is. You know, CFP, you just put a title and some description. And I'm the one validating them anyway. So
excellent. I'll send it to, and then I'll send you the link on Twitter.
Cool. Sounds good.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen.
All right.
How about you say bye?
Bye, everyone. Bye, you too.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks
and again, one of the future
stream.
streams, we should definitely come back and play board games. I'm saying that third time, so you know it's serious.
Get me in. Definitely, I want to be there for that.
TTS all the way, man. TTS all the way. All right.
All right. Bye-bye.